Coach, how enjoyable is it for you to be able to see the guys like Brad Wanamaker and Shemi Ojeleye step in and play as well as they did tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been one of the kind of the trademarks of this group has been whoever's not available, you don't focus on that. You just focus on how to play to your strengths. And the key is when everybody is available, getting the most out of ourselves, I think. But I think, Brad did great. Shem did great. Robert did great. I thought the bench, the guys that don't play as much, all really stepped in and gave us a lift.
Coach, Jaylen had a pretty rough game, had a bad fifth foul. Then he came back in and was like a completely different player. What went into that turnaround for him?
That's a good question. Usually I don't really care about the foul stuff. Obviously with 10 guys, it's a little bit different. You had to be a little bit more quick to bring Morris out when he got his fourth and Jaylen out when he got his fifth. But, I think he's a guy that can go on runs, and, I think he was excited to play better. And so when he got back in, he went nuts there for a little bit and separated the game for us. And the big turnaround with out of the timeout, the multiple threes, I just thought he did a lot of good things, and we're not going to play perfect. We never are, but when we have a lot of guys missing, you just have to kind of stay with it, even if it's not going your way, until it does.
Coach, to piggyback on that, the level of effort you're seeing from this team, is this at an all-time high of the season, of this regular season, you would say?
I mean, we've had I thought we had some really good moments early. They were just, they weren't consistent. It's been better in the last few games. We played like the other night, we played a full game. Like, we played hard for a full game. And I think we've been closer to that. But tonight, we made some mistakes, but played hard again. But you got to keep doing it. 26 games in, we'll evaluate our consistent effort at the end of 82. But it wasn't as good as it needed to be in the first few games. But I think as guys have gotten more comfortable playing together, and the ball's gone in a little bit more, you feel a little bit better about yourself. Play happier, play freer. I just think all that stuff kind of adds into, making that one extra step of effort.
Brad, Robert got pressed into duty, and obviously against Davis. What did you think of it, and how could that help his confidence, the fact that he was able to hold his own?
Well, he held him to 41. So, no, I mean, he's a load, and it was really, he was really well earned. Tyson and Robert, were basically going to have to play him one-on-one because we didn't want to double. We wanted to guard the three-point line. Randall's a load down on the block. So I thought Robert did a lot of good things. And, when those guys, when you're shooting jumpers and Robert's in the vicinity, you feel him. When you're shooting around the rim and he's in the vicinity, you feel him. And I think he can improve a lot, but I thought he did a really good job. And offensively, he was active, got some hands on some offensive rebounds, made a couple tip-ins, kicked it out. Thought he was good.
Yeah, Coach, you could talk about Marcus Morris, what he's done over the season and what he's.
I thought when we had the initial injury wave last year in March, when Kyrie was out, Smart was out, Jaylen was out for a while after falling in Minnesota, I thought Marcus Morris took it to a different level, and I thought that was a big reason why we went in feeling good about ourselves. And then I thought he played great throughout the postseason, and he's done nothing but add to it here at the start of this season. And, he was great. He's a hard guy to guard because if you put a smaller guy on him, he posts you like he did at the start of the game. Put a bigger guy on him, he plays off of against those guys in closeouts, and that's tough because he's a really good shooter who can put it on the floor.
Tatum obviously had a good scoring game, but you used him a little bit as a facilitator. Later on, had him initiate the offense using that Gordon Hayward role on the elbow. What do you see from Tatum as a facilitator as he continues to grow as a player?
That was when we had Point Morris and Tatum at the elbow, and that was fun. Like, just those guys have a lot of versatility. They can do a lot of different things. We rep those in practice where you play all those different spots and just get used to it. But oftentimes that's not them there. Tatum's a good cutter. I think that he can play off of that stuff, and people really try to get into him, obviously. But We need him to be able to be a playmaker and facilitator sometimes for us too, because he's going to see a lot of extra attention off screens.
Brad, going back to Robert, you mentioned that Davis is 41. Is that kind of a lesson for Robert that he's going to give up? You know, the good ones are going to score on him, but he's got to keep going and not get discouraged when he does get scored on?
Yeah, I mean, again, that was nothing against Robert. That was just, you know, I think ultimately he's a hard guy to guard, and Robert made it as tough as possible. But yeah, you just keep going, and you know, he got spun out right like the first play and got dunked on, and you know, right there, even though you know it's coming, even though you've watched film on it all day, that's a great learning experience, and you just get a little lower next time, you know, to make sure that doesn't happen. That's all why experience is so valuable. Experience guarding, you know, really good players is really valuable.